Disclaimer. At Two Addicts and a Moron, we discuss personal stories of addiction with the intention of being educational, relatable, and inspirational. The views and experiences shared are those of individuals involved, are not meant to glorify or condone any illegal or harmful behavior. This content is for educational purposes only and is not intended as professional advice. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, we strongly encourage you seek help from a qualified professional or support service. And just like that, we are back to another great episode of Two Addicts and a Moron. And today, it's not so much Two Addicts and a Moron. It's one addict, one moron, and a fucking brilliant filmmaker. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, Andrew Shebay. Hey.
Thanks,
Look,
guys.
man, thank you so much for coming by, dude. I have become a fan of you. I'll tell you a little bit about how I became a fan, but it was watching 100 Miles to Redemption. I went into it thinking it was homework because I wanted to get to know a little bit more about Shawn and his journey before he came onto our podcast. And I love Shawn to death, and we had talked times before he came on. So I was like, you know what, though? I'm going to just see a little bit more, kind of peel the curtain back. And started as homework and ended with like just blown away by the film. It was fantastic. It's a documentary. 100 Miles of Redemption. We've said it before, but I'm saying it again. Watch that movie. Trust me, you're struggling with anything, not just addiction, but you watch him struggle, or you watch him, you listen to him, his struggles in addiction, and then you watch him struggle in this race, right? So
It's funny because every time like I need to go for a jog, I'm feeling a little bit fat at home, and
yeah.
I need to just get some like release out.
Yeah.
I'll watch the documentary. I'm not going for a 100-mile jog. I'm
No.
going for a mile.
Yeah.
But it will motivate me to run a mile.
100 miles for you, right?
1 mile for me.
Hey,
100
look.
miles for Shawn.
Like I was just saying, there is nobody on earth that'll make you feel lazier than Shawn.
Sure.
And at least one that I know personally and love. So the fact that you got to bring that to light and you had the different perspective of his family, and dude, the end of that movie where he's coming to the finish line and the family's there and he loses it, like I was just like, oh dude, you got me so good in that moment. It was a beautifully made film, man. It really was.
Man.
So huge fan.
I think we all lost it in that moment, even when it was happening.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we kind of set it up that way to be a secret to Shawn, and it was. But man, and that moment was so real.
It doesn't get any more real than that.
You can't act that. You can't script that. It was so real, and it was so heartwarming, especially after I interviewed his mom and his sister and his stepdad in Youngstown, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
It was like she didn't want to go to that. She didn't want anything to do with him,
Mm-hmm.
and she showed up for him.
Who?
His sister.
Yeah.
It was really his sister.
Yeah.
Parents will love you unconditionally.
Yeah.
They'll always show up for you.
Uh-huh.
Even if they say they won't show up for you, they'll show up for you.
Yeah. 100%.
It's the siblings.
Uh-huh.
The sibling and his sister she got me the most because I'm the youngest of 3. My wife, she's got siblings, and it's just that sibling connection. I think anyone that has a sibling, and if you do wrong by them, I think that hurts you the most.
Yeah.
Because your parents are going to love you. But when your siblings can forgive you in that way and show up for you, man, there's nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah, especially siblings, like whenever you're closer in age, like you're always going to have a friend, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're in 4th grade and your brother's in 2nd grade, or you're always going to have a friend no matter what, right? You're always going to have a best friend. And unfortunately, during addiction, those are the people that we hurt the most. We hurt the ones that love us the most.
And it's the siblings. I mean, like, look, if you make your parents cry, you're like, you feel bad. But if you make a sibling cry,
Yeah.
but man, that just cuts you to the core.
Well, that's true too, because I know my mom's gonna come no matter what.
Right.
But like my sisters, if I fuck them over enough, like they won't show up when I need them to. You know.
I think the sibling love is pure. It's just as pure as a parent's love, but it is conditional, right? And it is like when you fracture that or you do something. I think the best definition is tough love. You know, that tough love that you always hear that should be implemented by a parent, which is hard. As I'm a parent, so as a parent, I know that it's so hard to do tough love on a child, right? But if my brother, I don't love my brothers any less, but if they do something, I'm gonna check them. Like there's checks and balances there, I guess, is the best way to say it.
I can't check my siblings. I'm the youngest of three. I have an older brother and an older sister. They both check me. But if I ever did something to like make them actually cry and hurt them, that would hurt me a lot more than I would feel with my parents. And I have two young kids as well. I have a 4-year-old boy and a 7-month-old little girl.
Yeah.
And I tell my little boy, I go, it's you and her, man.
Yeah.
You know, someday me and your mom will be gone.
Yep.
I don't tell him this.
I hope you do. That'd be awesome.
I go, dude.
We're not gonna be here much longer.
I go, James. He's 4. I'm like, James, it's you and Annie. You know, you look after her. That's all you got, man. You protect her. You look after her. That's your little. That's your baby sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So, obviously, you know how you made that movie in a way that made me believe that the maker of it had some kind of experience with addiction or loves someone who is, which I think obviously you are one way or another. But
I started so backtracking a little bit. Every year in Austin, I do a pro bono video for a nonprofit here in Austin.
Okay,
it's kind of like my way to get back.
Yeah.
Back in 2017, I was doing some pro bono videos for a nonprofit called Back on My Feet, and Shawn was Member of the Year. And then after that, he calls me and he's like, "Man, I'm going to run this 100-mile trail race." And at that time, I didn't know anyone that was going through addiction. But I was getting married at the time. And like I said, everyone knows someone that goes through addiction. So me doing the film on Shawn and his family, it was kind of like a little selfish. It was like me learning about it as well. I didn't know anything about addiction.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. I didn't grow up with someone, thank God. But I was learning about it while I was making the movie. And it was so eye-opening. Not just to hear what Shawn was going through, but what his family was going through. Because I went up there with my film crew to Youngstown, Ohio, and I filmed and I interviewed his mom, stepdad, and his sister without him there. And I think that was the best decision ever.
Hell yeah.
Because they spoke openly. They said things that they never told him.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's very important that like I think maybe they use the camera, the lens as the way just to like get things off their chest.
Maybe talk to him through the lens.
Bro,
exactly. And Shawn ended up seeing it. And I think it's good. I think it's good therapy, you know. His sister didn't want to be interviewed.
That's what I was going to ask. Were they hesitant, any of them?
The mom and stepdad, no. They were all for it.
Yeah.
The sister, she was hesitant.
Was she?
And I didn't pressure her. I go, don't worry about it. You don't have to. I never want to pressure anybody to speak if they don't want to.
Right.
It's such a personal thing.
Yeah.
And then the morning we were driving over there, the mom called me. She's like, she wants to.
Yeah.
I go, great.
I think it was awesome too because you can tell like Shawn was like her big hero
Oh yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
Right. Like most siblings,
Dude,
your younger sibling, like I've got an older brother and 2 older sisters, and like you couldn't tell me anything bad about them growing up. They
Yeah.
were the greatest thing ever, and they still are, right?
Yeah.
So, and you could tell like when she talked about Shawn, how like she looked up to Shawn, right? Like Shawn was a superhero,
It was her He was
Right.
her superhero.
right? And then you could see the damage that he had done, the way that she talked about it, right?
Yeah.
well, I have 3 brothers and I have an older brother, and it's as you get older, inevitably life is going to happen, right? It just is. Name it, whatever. And watching mom, dad, brother get humanized when they're held up on this pedestal to you, that's tough. That's tough. And especially when they get humanized in a way that you're, in this case, Shawn being in addiction, she probably really looked down on that. I'm just guessing.
The mom, yeah.
No, it's his sister.
Oh, the sister, yeah.
His sister. Like, okay, you're superhero. You're human now, but not only are you human, but you're like doing drugs.
So
like
it's crazy because during that time, Shawn was going through his addiction. She was going through her formidable years. So she was like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
yeah,
15, 16 is a long time.
yeah,
Like people get it. So he was her superhero, but he then became the villain.
yeah,
Yeah.
And like for a superhero to become the villain with a young girl in her preteens and teens, that's tough.
yeah.
You know, and the film before was called 100 Miles to Redemption. The name of it was actually called Woke the Monster.
Oh, okay.
Because Shawn, the pills he was getting after he got injured in Iraq, it like woke the monster inside of him.
Yeah,
Which the monster was the addict, right?
yeah,
But then we changed the name to 100 Miles to Redemption, just because it was more positive. And we wanted. There's lots of films on addiction, and those and these films on addiction, they end in one of 2 ways.
yeah,
The addict either goes to rehab or they die. So we wanted a film, and same with our new film, My Brother's Keeper. We want a film that not only shows the addiction story, but we want a film that also shows the recovery story
Hell yeah.
yeah.
and the redemption story,
Right.
and how hard that recovery journey is,
Yeah.
not just for the addict, but also the family.
For sure.
Because like his sister was going through her own recovery, and I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah.
You know, the addict goes through recovery and is always going through recovery.
Right.
They're never, I learned this. I was like, oh, you're recovered.
I've never thought about that.
So like, I'm not recovered, dude. I'm recovering.
Yeah.
I can be recovering for 5, 10, 20, 50, 90 years,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm always in recovery.
Right.
The family's the same way.
Yeah. So I always say I'm recovered.
You say you're recovered?
I do.
Okay.
Because I went back and forth on this. We've talked about it some.
Now I'm the moron.
No.
No.
Everybody's
It's
different.
everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
You're not
So-
wrong.
So when I go to meetings, I still go to meetings often, right? I don't go to AA meetings so much anymore because I don't identify as an alcoholic, but I go to drug meetings like Cocaine's Anonymous, Crystal Meth Anonymous. But I used to always identify as an addict. Well, I feel like if I'm recovered, I'm not an addict anymore. So I just say I'm a recovered addict. Because I feel like, so if I was a prostitute before, right?
Right.
And I used to sell my ass for money, but I don't sell myself for money anymore. Am I a prostitute anymore? No, I was a prostitute, but I'm not a prostitute anymore.
That's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's
a good
kind of how
point.
I've always looked at it. But everybody's different. Some people will say that I'm always in recovery, and I respect that too.
Sure.
Right? Some people don't want to say that they're recovered, maybe because maybe their ego will come back and they'll think, "Oh, I'm good now."
Right.
So that's something you got to worry about too.
And it's based on that, like
Right.
that super ego, right?
But I've never thought about the families going through recovery. You just pointed that out to me, and I'm an addict. I'm not supposed to be the moron.
Yeah.
So you just showed something to me because I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I thought like I'm the one that went through all this recovery process, but the family probably goes through just as much, if not more.
Look, I'm not an expert on this stuff. I've only been
Nobody is, brother.
I'm doing it for a few
Nobody
years
is.
now. But what I've learned and what I've seen, yeah, whatever the addict's going through, the family's going through it as well. Whether you see it or not, because and they're always in. If you're in recovery, they're in recovery. If you're doing drugs, they're doing drugs. Not per se, but you know what I mean.
You know what's funny is when I go back home, like for Thanksgiving or Christmas, when I go to the bathroom, I come out like after 30 seconds, right? And my family will say something about it. They're like, see, you used to stay in there for 20 minutes because I would always go in there and get high. So I always make it a point that, hey, I'm going to take a piss. I'll be right back. And I always let them know, hey, I'm out. I'm not in there anymore. But
that's good though. That's funny. Like, and I think that's so, I love the fact that you do that. I think that's, and you don't feel ashamed or embarrassed to do that, because I think a big thing, especially in our society today, whether it be America, Europe, Australia, whatever, anyone in our society that is dealing with addiction, there's a stigma to like feeling ashamed and embarrassed to talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what like we try to do what we do as filmmakers, and use the medium of film to, I don't want to say break that stigma, because that's like pie in the sky, but let's say fight the stigma.
Yeah.
Try to fight the stigma. You should not feel ashamed and embarrassed because you have a disease. Do people with cancer feel ashamed and embarrassed because
Not
they
at
have
all.
cancer? No.
That's a great point.
But the family member still suffers with the person that has cancer.
100%.
You know, so like, should an addict feel ashamed and embarrassed because they're an addict? No, they shouldn't. They should talk about it. Yo, I'm a fucking addict.
Yeah.
I have addiction problems. I need this. I need that. I've tried to stop. I can't fucking stop. Like help me. People that have cancer, they go get
Help.
Get treatment.
They go get help.
They go get help. They get treatment.
Yeah.
You know, and the family's with them the whole time.
Yeah.
Addicts should be the same. It's no different.
Yeah.
Great point.
But there's just a fucking stigma to it, because there's that debate where like, oh, you're doing it to yourself. You can stop if you want. It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
It's not a mental thing, man. Some people are born with it and some people are not. And you know, and I've learned that because, and Shawn's told me this as well, addiction, it doesn't care if you're black, white, Mexican, yellow, blue, green.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
They don't give a fuck.
Not prejudiced at all.
If you're rich, poor, medium class,
Yep.
addiction doesn't give a fuck what you are.
Yeah.
If it wants to get you, it will get you.
Yeah.
Just like cancer.
Right.
And so, you know, I think the best thing to do is just talk about it. And that's what you guys are doing.
And
And that's what Shawn's doing on I Am Redemption.
well, look, that's what you did.
That's what
great.
you did.
That's what
and
you
that's
did.
and that's what I inspired to do as well through my my films.
Well, you did in that one beautifully. And I want to get into another one here in a minute, but you are currently trying to make that a feature movie, right?
Yes. So Shawn, so like we really tend to, so like I said, I funded 100 Miles to Redemption.
Okay.
Which is not a good move for any filmmaker to do. It sucks.
Well, I'm glad you did,
sucks,
brother.
and my wife's not. My wife, she loves it. She's happy with me. She doesn't want me to do it again, but she knows why. She knows why I did it. You should not fund films yourself.
Yeah.
They're expensive. So when you do fund a film, you get it in the can, you edit it, you thank God it's on Amazon Prime and some networks. You're not going to make money on it.
Yeah.
And I will never make that money back. And I'm fine with it. Because we didn't have the money to market it. We don't have the money to market it. But that film, it did what I wanted it to do.
Yeah.
Shawn, I think it got on Amazon Prime back in 2021 or something like that. And so Shawn still gets messages today, like from random people.
Yeah.
hey, I just saw this film, which I don't know how they found it. We don't market it. I saw this film and like, thank you so much. It helped me.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we wanted that film to do.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so that inspired me to kind of take that project and write a narrative script on it. So I wrote a narrative feature film based on 100 Miles to Redemption. It's called My Brother's Keeper. My Brother's Keeper is tattooed across Shawn's chest. But it's had several meanings.
Yeah.
So I wrote that called My Brother's Keeper. Our plan with that is to get funding, to get some bigger name actors on board, kind of make that like Beautiful Boy with Steve Carell, which is and Timothy Chalamet, which is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Ben is back. I don't know if I've seen that. It's with Julia Roberts. It's so good.
No.
There's a movie on Netflix. I don't want to say little. It was a great festival movie at South by back in 2018. My wife actually saw it and told me to watch it. It's called Six Balloons. It's currently on Netflix. It's a great movie. It's got James Franco's brother in it, Dave Franco.
Yeah.
It's a great brother and sister relationship. So it's kind of like that as well. But with My Brother's Keeper, we want to film it in the style and the tone of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
So like we want it to be a lot more grittier and more intense than these other addiction movies. But also we want to show the recovery side of it, and we want to show the redemption side of it.
For sure.
That's where Shawn running 100 miles comes into play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now we're trying to get that funded.
Yeah.
We're looking for financing, funding, and some brand integrations to get that off the ground. I hope to start shooting that in June
Yep.
of this year, and we'll see what happens.
Who do you reach out? I'm sorry. Who do you reach out to for funding on stuff? Because that's something we want to do eventually, is make a movie about addiction too.
Oh wow, I love it.
That's something we got. He's going to be a phenomenal director one day. And then
I'll get you, if we get funding for this film, My Brother's Keeper, I'll get you on set. We'll do it together, dude.
he's gonna be great.
Yeah.
But that's something that we've talked about this year or next year, doing a movie, him writing a script, something about that. But do you just go to like, who do you go? Because I heard you say you don't want to fund it yourself, and that's something we thought about doing.
You don't want to fund it yourself. If you have the means to fund it yourself, sure.
Yeah.
You want to do it. You want to do it two ways. Financing a film and distribution of the film are the two hardest things. Look, you as a filmmaker, I'm only as good as my team. Like I never want to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
So my job as a producer or director is to hire people smarter than me.
Yeah.
And convince people smarter than me to work with me.
Yeah.
I've been pretty good at that. I can do that.
Yeah.
But like, as long as I have people smarter than me and more talented than I am, I'm good. So you're only as good as your team.
Right.
So get the right crew, get the right people behind you. That's not as hard as getting the funding and distribution.
I bet.
You got to convince people with funding
with money
to believe in your project before you make it. And no matter like how good you are, like it's a tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And then distribution side, look, sales agents and distributors, they're always looking for name talent. I want Alexander Ludwig in My Brother's Keeper.
Nice.
Distributors and sales agents like, his name's not big enough. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's great. And so at the end of the day, sometimes as a filmmaker, you need to be like, okay, I'm going to listen to the sales agents, or I'm just going to say, fuck you, and I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm going to do it with the actor that I like. And so like, and I think there's a fine line you need to play. There's a balance. You always have to play the game. You always have to play the balance.
Yeah.
And I think Alexander Ludwig is definitely in that balance. I think for the budget that I have, that I want to make this movie with, I don't want to make this movie for a high budget. I want to make this movie for the budget that I have. Because my main goal is to, one, make a great movie that will invoke emotion in people and will tell the story that I want to tell. 2, I want to make my investors their money back.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of unsavory producers out there that are kind of, man, yeah, I'm going to say it. They're used car salesmen.
Yeah.
They're going to sell you a bill of goods.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then they're here one day and gone the next. And I've invested in films before. And so, like, I've been on that side. So I know how it is as an investor. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks when you're taken advantage of. It sucks when the producer sucks. So you have to invest in the producer and the director that you feel confident in. And so you need a, you know, you just need to be a genuine and honest kind of producer and director and get your investors their money back. I mean, that's the goal. And that's why I want to make it at the budget I do.
Well,
Because I believe that for this budget and for the talent I want in this film, not only can we make an amazing film, we can get our investors their money back. And that's the most important thing.
absolutely. Well, look, anybody out there that is watching this, whenever it comes out, if you want something to believe in, go watch 100 Miles of Redemption and tell me that that does not belong as a feature film and with its own a better narrative around it, right? Like a movie to be made around that. You tell me that, because it's the first thing I thought of at the end of that movie was this is more than a documentary here. This is
So in the documentary, I showed it through Shawn's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. In My Brother's Keeper, I kind of flipped the script and I show it through his sister's perspective.
nice.
So his sister's telling the story of her brother going through his addiction and how it affected her.
Beautiful.
And so not only do we see what Shawn went through, but we see what his sister went through as well.
Beautiful.
And I think that's so important.
Maybe the most. That might be. I'm just trying to think. That might be that might be more different than anything that's ever been made about addiction. Is from that perspective. Maybe
that's our goal with this, because we just felt it's just like I said, I wanted to take a different lens to it, right?
Well, that is something I have the utmost faith in you to do. Bridging on 100 Miles of Redemption, My Brother's Keeper, which please get that made. I want to talk to you about The Empty Chair.
Oh shit, that one's crazy.
Holy shit, dude. Like, I watched that the other day after we had spoke on the phone. I went and
Thank you for paying $2.99.
dude, I paid the $2.99. I was like, look, I went into that thinking it was a movie. I was like, oh, I just bought a movie. I've like got my popcorn and shit ready. Like, I'm getting ready to, like, you know, be in for a long ride here.
I'm sorry, bro.
No, it's okay. No, The Empty Chair also needs to get fucking made so I can finish it. Holy shit, dude. I was like on the edge of my seat. I'm like, I need another one. I was gonna.
Good, that's the goal.
That would have been. Are you trying to do that in a series?
Yes.
Style?
Yes. So The Empty Chair. I mean, do you want me to give the whole background to it?
Fuck yeah! Like,
Okay.
I want to know, because, dude, it's insane. Like, it says horror.
It's a true crime. True crime.
Yeah, but on the thing it says horror and psychological thriller or something.
Which one did you watch? Did you watch on Apple TV or Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what it said up there. And I'm a horror guy. Look, I got Pennywise and stuff on my arm. So, like,
Horror sells.
so horror is like my shit, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm sitting down and I'm like, man, there's nothing really. There's a lot horrific about it.
Yeah.
But it's not horror
It's not
at all.
It's more true crime. And we actually flipped true crime on its head with that one. So instead of following the serial killer and trying to, like, catch a killer, it's more about the victim's perspective and the mother of one of the victims keeping America's most prolific serial killer in prison.
Yeah.
So this is a true story.
Yeah.
So the empty chair came to me. I was born on August 11th, 1982. And the front page of the newspaper was Coral Eugene Watts. He confessed to killing 13 women in Houston, Texas. And later it was found that he alluded to killing more than over 100 women across America. He's America's most prolific serial killer. Nobody knows about this guy.
Is he the I-45 killer?
Nope.
That's not him.
Nope.
Okay.
This guy, I'm telling you, nobody knows about this fucking guy. This guy killed more people than Bundy, Dahmer, Gacy combined.
Yeah.
And no one knows about him. And not only the fact that no one knows about him, he was going to be the first serial killer ever released from prison. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was a law in Texas, and there's a law called mandatory release. For every good day you serve, you get 2 days off. And so Coral Eugene Watts, he started killing up in Michigan back in the 70s. Authorities in Michigan suspected him of being a serial killer. They drove him out of town. He fled to Houston, Texas. He got caught, and he killed a bunch of people in Houston, Texas. He got caught in Houston, Texas from drowning a victim in her bathtub. One of the victims, Melinda Aguilar, was bound with her hands and feet. 18-year-old girl jumps off her second-story balcony. Doesn't know if she's going to live or die. Just jumps. Survives. Gets the cops. The cops come. They catch Coral Eugene in the process of killing these two women. The downstairs neighbor revives Lori. She saves her life within 3 seconds of nuts. And so then Coral is arrested. There's a plea bargain. He pleads to 60 years in prison for burglary and assault if he shows the authorities the missing bodies of 3 of the victims. And so all the victims' families back there were like, okay, we'll take the plea bargain because he's going away to prison for 60 years. You know, that it's not justice, but at least he's off the streets.
Right.
You know, they didn't know about a law called mandatory release. That was for every good day you serve, you get 2 days off.
That's crazy.
Cole was going to get, he was going to be released in 20 years. And he said, when I get out of prison, I'm going to kill again. And Texas was going to release this guy. The mother, Harriet Samander, her daughter was Elena Samander. She was 20 years old. A few days before her 21st birthday, she was one of the victims. She was strangled and left in a dumpster. She was one of the victims. Her mother, Harriet, fought. She was the only person to fight for 2 decades to keep this guy in prison. She fought alongside Andy Kahn, a crimes victim advocate in Houston, Texas at the time. He helped her, but she fought for 2 decades to keep him in prison. She got this law overturned. She got the mandatory release law overturned. But Coral was already retroactively involved in it, so he was still going to get out.
Yeah.
So then she has to find a cold case to pin him on. So like they did this whole grassroots campaign. This was before the internet. They did all this stuff. National media picked it up. Michigan DA's office found out about this. They knew Coral Eugene Watts was connected to these cold cases in the 70s in Michigan. And so Texas actually released him to Michigan. And so if Michigan lost that cold case, which cold cases are very hard to win. If Michigan actually lost that cold case, he would have walked out that day as a free person. Not paroled, released. Would have walked out that day.
Yeah.
So look, spoiler alert, it's public knowledge. You can Google it. But he was convicted. And so Harriet Samander, we had a funeral last Friday.
Oh, no.
She was 91. But she's at peace now. She's at peace. She's with her daughter and her husband. It's the best thing. she fought her fight, and she won. She fucking won. And so she saved so many countless lives. And so our film, the writer of the film, he was 13 years old. It was his older sister, and his mom was Harriet. And he actually became a screenwriter. He lives
Really? Wow.
He lives in LA, and so he spent like the past few decades writing this script, and he sends me 500 pages of the script, and I read it. I'm like, dude, you got to. This is a TV series, a limited TV series. So we currently have 8 episodes written out that follows his mom's journey of fighting
this dude.
She actually doesn't really fight Corey Jean Watts. Yeah. She fights the justice system.
Yeah,
bro,
that's insane.
So
it's fucking heavy.
It's the heaviest.
Sorry to ramble on.
No, it was the heaviest. Like, what is it? 30 minutes?
22 minutes.
Okay, whatever. Like I remember just sitting there and what you just said. The girl that's bound.
Yeah.
You're in that room with her and watching her jump over the ledge. Some other stuff's going on. Watch it. Pay the $2.99 and fucking watch it.
I didn't want to leave that room. I like, as a filmmaker on the lens, I didn't want to.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Like, what the fuck is it like filming something like that? Because that was like the most chilling fucking scene that I can really think of. And I'm a horror guy. Like, I love that type of shit. This was, it was a horrific scene.
Oh, good. I've got you, because we show nothing but everything.
That's what, so I'm a kind of a movie nerd. Jaws, you don't see him till the last fucking 20 minutes of the movie, right? But you're gripped the whole time. Same kind of shit. Like, it really was. You see nothing, but you're getting everything. Like, you can't. Yeah, you're not.
This goes back to me not being the smartest person in the room.
Yeah,
it's all about my crew. So my DP, he tells me to watch this movie, A Ghost Story, which is nothing like this movie. But he's like, watch this movie, A Ghost Story. And there's a scene in it where they sit on this one frame for about 2 minutes, and nothing happens, which is a very long time to sit in film. And I loved it. I loved it. I was like, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. We need to, and like, I go, what was happening to her roommate? That was happening to her roommate. We were telling the story in that scene. We were telling the story of what Melinda was going through, not what her roommate was going through, what Melinda was going through. So I wanted the lens to focus on what she was going through and what she was hearing and what she was feeling. And that's when all that music and that pump and my
tear rolling down her right, dude. It was so good. She's just sitting there and she's pretending to be knocked out, and
that was real life. She did that in real life.
Well, yeah, no, but you just see the tear pour over the bridge of her nose, and I'm like, oh my God, dude.
I read reports on what the real Melinda Aguilar went through in real life. When her roommate she was 18 years old, and when her roommate was being drowned in the next bedroom, and she was bound, and she knew she was going to be killed next, and she had to pretend to play possum. What was she going through?
Yeah.
What like, as a filmmaker, you need to know your subjects on such a personal level, and so like, I really want to know. Like, I try to direct my actress, and it's like about this, and my actor Olivia Tovar. She was a young actor. She's gonna be a superstar. She's so talented. No one knows her as well, but she's gonna watch out for her. She's amazing. It's like, what do you go through in that situation? How do you play possum? And Melinda Aguilar, the real Melinda Aguilar, credits. She doesn't like to speak about this, and
I bet
we don't pressure her. Because she doesn't credit herself. She credits everything to God. She goes, God was the one that let me play possum. God was the one that picked me up God was the one that let me jump off that balcony. And like, I think that's so amazing. I mean, getting back to addiction, you know, to go through recovery and to go through your own redemption, you know, you have to have the higher power. If you believe in God, look, I'm a religious person.
Yeah.
I definitely believe in
Yeah,
God.
me
but,
too.
But whatever you believe in, you know, I love addicts. They always believe in a higher power. It doesn't have to be God. It can be whatever. As long as it's a higher power.
It's got to be something bigger than you.
Something bigger than you.
That's what it is.
Thank you. And so like, that's what Melinda Aguilar, something bigger than her, let her jump off a 2-story balcony
with her hands tied
and feet.
Yeah.
When
Like you're not landing well.
There's no way to land great in that
when
situation.
she was 18 years old.
Bro, I mean,
I could not do that at 42 years old.
well, that 22 minutes or that 6 minutes, 7, I don't even know how long it was, but that opening scene is just fucking intense, dude. And then you get a little bit of the picture of the story of what's going on. Then it cuts to the mom and the dad eating at dinner, right? And then you see the empty chair. It needs to be made. Like that has to be made. And I'm saying that for me. Make it for me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, fuck everybody else. Like this needs to be made for me.
I need $10 million.
Yeah, you need $10 million. Give this man $10 million so we can make the rest of these episodes so I can watch this selfishly. But I'm just fucking blown away.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I think that's like at the end of the day, as a filmmaker, you know, you just try to evoke emotion. You know, you want people to feel emotion. I'm like these days, everything's being remade.
Yeah.
Instead of a green Hulk, they're making a red Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, like it's all like these quick fixes.
Yeah.
Like quick entertainment fixes. The type of films I really like inspire to make and I want to make are those films that like evoke emotion where after you watch them, you're like, holy shit, you feel something. You feel something deep. You know, it's like Shawshank Redemption. Whatever happened to those films?
Yeah.
Why don't we make those anymore?
Yeah.
You know, and there's so many others out there. Why don't we make those films anymore that make us actually feel something? Like, don't get me wrong, I love the action flicks. They're great. I love a quick fix. My wife watches Hallmark all the time because she wants to shut her mind off.
Yeah.
But like the films I like to make are just on a very deep
The
level.
feel good ones.
Just a deep. I want people to feel something. You know, the slower paced, they have more heart and depth to them. But I want people to think. I want people to the type of films I make. Don't come home and think you can flip it on and watch it and get it because you can't. You actually have to. You actually have to watch it. Yeah. But that's the stuff I like to watch. So.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, I like it all. Like, I do think there's a time and a place for your brain to shut the fuck off. And
sure.
I want to watch Bruce Willis in Die Hard. Right?
Just every Christmas. Come on.
Just fucking let's go. Right? Like, I want to watch a silly Kevin Hart movie. I want to watch Superbad.
I watch Happy Gilmore all the time.
Yeah, that's whatever. Yeah, the Sandler flicks are all just all amazing for that. But watching like thought-provoking stuff just doesn't quite happen the same way anymore. So I do want to rewind the clock a little bit to 100 Miles to Redemption.
Sure.
And so before I get into that question, I want to know what is your creative process in making a movie? What are you? How do you make a movie? How do you make a fucking movie, man? Like I guess that's the best way to ask that question.
That's a great question. I think for every filmmaker it's probably a little bit different. You definitely have the technical side to it, but for the creative side, for me personally, it's all about the subject. I never want my opinion or my views or my feelings to be influenced in my films. My films are not about me. They're about the subject I'm focused on. If that's a documentary or that's a narrative, it's all about the subject. So I really want to get to know my subjects. I really want to get it's very psychological. I was a psychology major at St. Edward's University here in Austin. I thought I wanted to do psychology. I didn't. I ended up traveling around the globe for 7 years with no money and just having fun. And then I went to film school in Australia. But I think it all comes back the way I look at the creative process. It all comes back to the roots of the psychology of things. I want to get inside my character's head, and I want to portray them as real and as authentic and genuine as they are. And I want the audience to see that.
And how hard is that to do, to get into your subject's head? Like, it can't be easy.
Well, it's actually, to be quite honest, it's not that hard. I think if you're honest with yourself and you're genuine, I think people pick up on that, and they'll be open with you. So as long as I approach something with a full heart, I don't want to say full heart, like clear eyes, because that's from Friday Night Lights. But,
Yeah.
No, but like in all honesty, I do love that saying. If I approach something with, very genuine and authentic, and this is why I want to tell the story, and I approach my subjects and I go, I love your story, and this is the way I want to tell your story, and this is the way I want to film you, whether it be a documentary or a narrative. It's very easy. It's very easy because people will open up to you. Again, the hardest part is the financing and distribution.
Mm-hmm.
But I think making the actual film with your crew and your subjects, if you're just honest with yourself and you're honest with them, and you have good intentions, people will open up to you, because I think people at the end of the day are just inherently good, and they believe in the power of storytelling.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I would have no idea how to get a movie off the fucking ground, right? Like, and it almost makes too much sense.
Okay, so
Start with your subject.
start with
Like,
your subject.
start with what do you want to do?
What type of story do you want to tell?
Right,
Who's your audience? Who's the audience you're telling this to?
right.
Put all that into a treatment. How do you see this film visually?
Yeah.
What are your visual comps? Like I said, for My Brother's Keeper, I really love The Wrestler. I loved how they filmed that. It's very, the way the camera moved. It was like the human eye. It was very floaty. It was very authentic, very raw and genuine. And so like know your visual style, right? Know your music style. Music and film are so important, because that enhances the emotion that you project into your audience.
Unless you're doing the Dahmer flick, the Dahmer series, Monster.
Dude.
No music. Dude,
nuts.
There's no music.
And that was a choice they did, and
But-
good for them.
So that's the first time I ever saw that. And I watched it a second time. I was like, why did this creep me? I know the story. Like, why did this creep me out so bad? Like, it creeped me out so much worse than what it should have. It should have creeped me out.
Yeah.
But it creeped me out way worse than it should have. And I went back and watched it a second time and was like, there's zero music in this. Like, it's just, there it is. It's just,
It's funny you say that, because we had the same thought process to do for the empty chair.
Mm-hmm.
When the camera's sitting in the room and looking at the empty hallway,
mm-hmm.
after Corey Eugene Watts drags Lori's body out of the hallway.
Yeah.
We're like, man, this works so well without music. But then I made the mistake of hiring a composer that's too good. my composer his name's Carson Ani. He's Peter Berg's composer.
Okay.
He's too good.
Yeah.
I had to leave his music in, because it was like his music was pumping my fucking heart like Red Bull.
Yeah.
You know, like
Insane.
And without the music, I wasn't getting that. And with his music, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And so that's why we left his music in. But like, it's funny, like every director, every situation, every scene is different. And like the reasoning behind every scene is different. So as a director, you really need to hyper focus in on like, why do you want it this way? What is it making the audience feel? And at the end of the day, do you personally like it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the question that I wanted to ask is, what impact and how do you look at addiction after making not having experience with it yourself or direct experience, but after the fact, after making something like that, what impact and how do you view an addict or addiction differently before and after?
One word, man, inspiring.
Yeah.
I think addicts are extremely inspiring. What they go through, what they're capable of overcoming, I could never do. Thank God I don't have addiction.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I don't think I don't have the strength to do that or the mental capacity to do that. So I think like if you're an addict and you're going through recovery and you're actually doing it, you're a lot stronger than what you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
Addiction does not make you weak. I think it makes you strong.
Yeah.
As long as you can take that and rechannel it.
Mm-hmm.
If you can rechannel that addiction into something positive, whether it be running 100 miles, whether it be writing a paper, or
Making a movie.
Making a movie.
Sure.
Whatever the case is.
Take your addiction and channel into something else rather than drugs and alcohol. You're going to be a lot stronger than most of society.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's inspiring. I think addicts are very inspiring.
We say that a lot on here. Some of the smartest people I've ever been around are addicts.
Fuck yeah.
And it's because the way that their mind works, like when they're trying to get drugs, they will come up with some crazy, amazing ways to figure out how to get this to work, right? And I always say, like, their mindset that they have whenever they get sober, if like what you just said, we say it all the time, if they can channel that to something positive, they can do some amazing shit.
Yeah.
Like they can do some amazing stuff. This, if I was not a drug addict, I would have not built this.
This would not have happened. This podcast would not have happened had he not been an addict for 10 years trying to
I
scrape.
would have never done it.
And I didn't want to say jealousy, because I would never want that. Look, no one wants their kids or themselves to be an addict.
For sure.
But at the end of the day, like I said, if you can channel that into something amazing, addicts do the most amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a little bit of the jealousy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they all this. I think they're very intelligent people.
You know, something I respected so much about 100 Miles to Redemption is you didn't know how it was going to end, right? Like what I mean by that is you didn't know if Shawn was going to finish this race.
Yeah.
Right?
And we didn't
like
know.
you could have put all this together, and then at mile 70, it's like, fuck, he got to pack it in.
Because
right?
he almost did.
He
right?
almost did.
Were
and I
you
was
worried?
shitting
Were you
myself.
worried about that?
Very worried.
Were you? Because
It got to a point.
it's not scripted, right?
No.
It's not like you just followed somebody and you knew he was going to finish. There had to have been moments
This is his
in there
first
where you're
100-mile
like,
race. That's his first one.
It was his first 100-mile race, and he did not train for it.
right.
Yeah.
And I think before that, what did he do? 62 miles is
Yeah,
the
it's-
most?
something
which
like
is
that.
still nuts.
Fucking
Yeah.
insane.
But also that I don't think a lot of people understand. Like he was, I think he was like 12 months sober from heroin addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing heroin for the past 17 fucking years,
Yeah.
and then 12 months after that, he decides to run a 100-mile race. That's nuts.
And I'll
People
tell you,
people don't do that.
I'll tell you this from when I got sober, about the first 6 months, maybe 9 months, there was shit hurting on my body that I didn't like my back, my neck.
Right. Sure.
There was stuff that I probably had injured somewhere along the way, but I had been using drugs so much that I never felt them. And then when I got sober, I was like, holy shit, my liver's killing me. Like my neck's hurting. So I know if he went through heroin for that long, that he just wasn't running a race and hurting. Like he still had parts of his body that was not up to speed yet, so to speak.
I mean, he came in, I think it was mile 67 or something like that. He came in, he's like, can't finish, my back's killing me. And again, you know, as a filmmaker, your first priority is to make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah.
Well, that speaks volumes of you. Yeah. Because most people be like, no, you got to fucking finish.
You got to finish, bro. I didn't want to tell him. I did not want to tell him your mom and your sister are surprising you at the end. You better finish your fucking pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, Shawn, I'm self-funding this. I need a movie.
Honest, you had that one in the chamber that you could still
I'm in the doghouse with my wife.
That was like the last
gotta
thing you were going to tell him. Like, look, your mom's here.
I don't want to say that shit. The thing that was going through my mind is like, okay, the edit. How are we going to make this to a film when you quit right now?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay, I can turn this, I can turn that. You know, well, at least he tried. But dude, there was this guy all in black that came up to Shawn, and Shawn tells us
it was the name of a state.
Detroit.
Sorry, city.
Yeah. So there's this guy that came up to Shawn, all in black, and Shawn tells us when you run a 100-mile trail race, sometimes you're alone, sometimes you're in a pack, sometimes you're just with one other person. Mm-hmm. And those times when you're with one other person, you're running 100 miles.
Yeah.
Deep into it, you divulge your whole entire life, the deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah.
And you build a connection within a few miles.
Oh, I bet.
And so Shawn at mile 67, Shawn's quitting, and Detroit, this guy all in black comes up, and says, "You remember, Shawn? We were just out there. You said, I got you and you got me, and we gotta keep going no matter what happens and this and that." And Shawn's like, "My back's fucking killing me, blah blah blah." He's like, you know, come on, we're gonna finish this thing together. And Shawn was like, fuck. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. And he went with this complete stranger and went back out on the trail. And then I think you hear me in the distance saying like, oh, walk it off. You know, take some Advil.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But they did, dude. And then
and that was unscripted. It's
that was
not like
very unscripted.
Yeah, that was like perfect.
So like I put that guy in My Brother's Keeper. I wrote him as a character.
Oh no shit.
But I wrote him as the exact character as he was in real life, as a fucking angel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when Shawn finished that race in 100 Miles to Redemption, we never saw that guy again.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know where he went. I don't know where he went.
Yeah.
They finished the race together. But when you see Shawn hugging his mom and sister, we tried to find him later. He was gone.
Yeah.
I don't know where he went. Shawn, I don't know where he went. His name's Detroit. Look, he is an angel. But we have his email address. We still say we keep in touch with him. Mm-hmm. But the way I wrote him into My Brother's Keeper, I wrote that exact scene the same way it happened. I left it up for the audience to figure out what they want him to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do they want him to be another trail runner, part of the community, just helping out another fellow trail runner? Do they want him to be an angel?
Yeah.
The audience can decipher what they want him to be.
Mm-hmm.
All of the above.
It was a very angelic thing that he did, and in my mind, he was an angel. So,
yeah.
Well, pulling as a filmmaker, making a documentary that's unscripted, that you don't know how the outcome is going to go. It's 100-mile race. First one, who knows how the fuck this is going to go, right? Having something like that happen unscripted is got to be like the most magical filmmaking piece. It's like, I am meant to do this fucking film right now. I'm supposed to be here capturing this. Like it had to be like that kind of a moment, like your angel too.
Yeah.
For the film.
And that was the biggest reasons why I continued to self-fund it. I had to. I had to finish it. I had to finish that story. Because like from like you said, from that moment, from those unscripted moments that happen like that, as a filmmaker, you have to see it through.
Yeah.
You have to tell the story.
Something I learned in a meeting one time, this dude I went to rehab with, he used to always say that coincidences are miracles when God chooses to remain anonymous.
100%.
Right? And those, like, that's a coincidence that you can't tell me there's no such person as God when Shawn's trying to quit and just some random guy that he met on the trail is like, fuck that, we're doing this together.
100%.
And you're in the corner saying, fuck yes, save this film, baby.
Yeah.
Save this fucking film.
Well, save the
Even though I'm not
film.
gonna make money on it,
Save this motherfucker.
So, as a filmmaker, a really good filmmaker, and I can't wait. God damn it, get the empty chair made. I can't stress that to you enough.
We're gonna make.
Figure that out. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Man, it's a tough question. People ask, like, yeah, it's a tough question.
Yeah, see, so I'm going to talk to you about this after you give me an answer.
Pick a scary and pick a just regular movie.
I'm gonna throw out a few real quick. It's not that easy because there's so many different genres. Look, I love Shawshank Redemption for what it was and for what it is, and for the fact that it's a movie filmed in a prison, but it's not a movie based on prison.
Right.
It's awesome.
It's so well done. Like it literally takes you like you're one of the people in the movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you know what he goes through. You know, it's really
great.
Good movie.
I think it has a really neat segue or tie into addiction too. In this, when Morgan Freeman's giving that monologue in the middle or towards the end of the movie after Brooks dies.
Yeah.
And he sends in the letter to the guys, right? And Morgan Freeman talks about it. He goes, look, first you come in here and you hate it. Then you learn to deal with it. And then you can't live without it. It's like, it's funny that you say that because I was thinking about that the other day. So I thought about like, but I've thought of, I was like, man, it's like your addiction, like being institutionalized within yourself.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So I was like,
first you hate it.
Yeah.
Then you learn to deal with it. Then you can't live without it.
Then you can't live without it.
I love it.
Then it's just a part of you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's them being in prison for their lives, their whole lives.
But you learn how to, but you're not in prison. You're only in prison as far as your mind wants you to be in prison.
Andy Dufresne, not ever being in prison, like refusing for the 20-something years to let him believe that he's a fucking prisoner.
Yeah.
Right? So kind of like a two addict and a moron thing, right? Like it was, I don't know why, but it was literally the other day when I was driving, I was just like, man, I was thinking about that Morgan Freeman speech. And I was like, that's fucking exactly
one of the best speakers ever.
Oh, dude.
Man, I'm glad I said that movie and not Dumb and Dumber.
Look, that's also a good one.
Phenomenal movie.
That one too.
My daughter loves Dumb and Dumber.
Look, dude, it's a great movie. It's.
I mean, you're running around with
your bro,
your idiot self and your dumber self. So,
yeah, you're just out there with your bro, and just taking some chances.
Who doesn't like that?
Yeah. So, I ask that question to a lot of people, a lot of my friends. And I always like, here's what I don't like, because I think everybody's favorite movie is maybe not the best movie that you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Your favorite movie is usually one that's pretty silly and tied into like your childhood in some form or fashion that you couldn't stop watching over and over again. And now you watch it and you're like, yeah, it's pretty silly.
Mine was Billy Madison.
Mine's American Pie.
There you go.
Right.
So
mine's The Goonies.
Oh, I fucking love The Goonies.
Yeah, so like I'm doing this arm in like movies that I love. So like Michael Myers, Pennywise. I have a Goonies tattoo back here.
I love The Goonies.
So I feel like people always try to overthink that, and they think about it through their adult lens,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where
But
it's
as a
like,
kid,
but
yeah.
when you were a kid, it was like, you watch the Karate Kid on a fucking loop.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah.
watch the Goonies on a fucking loop.
Bro, and
Alone,
when we
all
watched movies back then, you had to rewind the fucking VCR tape.
Yeah. And you
My,
just do
my,
it.
my mom took Billy Madison away from me because I started acting like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, no more.
Look,
No more, dude.
hey, look, dude. We could all use a little bit of Billy Madison in us.
We could. Why not?
Who's your favorite actor? You have a favorite actor?
I do. I have a few favorite
And
actors.
favorite director.
Yeah, Peter Berg's my favorite director.
Okay.
Peter
Not even
Berg.
close.
That's a good one.
I don't have to think about that. I love Peter Berg. Everything about him. Favorite actor. I have a lot of favorite actors. I love Casey Affleck.
Yeah.
Love him. Love him. Love him.
Yes.
My favorite actor is not going to be the main, A-list celebrities. They're going to be
No, they're always.
to be quite honest. The empty chair, we had Robin Lively in the
Yeah.
empty chair, and
She did great.
she is just so man. She's so powerful and real and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I really love. I want to do more stuff with Robin.
It was honest. It was she was just an honest actor. You could tell that she was probably a pleasure to work with.
She was the best. I was so nervous to work with her
I bet.
because it was like my first time directing an actor like her. And I don't like to be the director that directs. I like to be the director that collaborates.
Yeah.
And so she was such an amazing person to work with. And she made me more confident and made me more relaxed. And it was just, and I think that's what made it for like a better, cause like, look, directing, yeah, you're at that calling the shots, but it's not just your vision, it's your vision that you express to other creatives and other talented people. So then it becomes everyone's vision, and then it's up to you as a director to kind of lead that team to make sure things stay on track. So like all my job was as a director, the way I see it was, hey, this is the emotion and this is what I think we should go for. What do y'all think? And some people will be like, I like that, but what if we did this? What if we did that?
Yeah.
And then it's up to me to say, that's a good idea, or maybe no, let's take that and go more this way. And so, but to have that insight and to know a story so well in your own mind, to be able to to be able to collaborate with other creatives, if that's a DP, if that's an actor, if that's an editor or a composer or PA, whatever.
What's a DP?
Director of photography.
Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking
Yeah,
double
yeah.
penetration.
Yeah.
That was
They do that as well.
Yeah.
But you have to-
when you said
but
DP
yeah, but-
earlier. I
but-
didn't want to say it. I was like, double penetration,
yeah.
baby.
They will definitely do that, but you have to pay them overtime.
Yeah. There.
And so if the investors are willing to do that,
Yeah.
then you're golden.
Yeah.
Some investors are whatever. But
Yeah. Harvey Weinstein was all in there.
it's all about that shit. Yeah.
Well, that speaks volumes to you too, because I'm a big believer that 2 heads are better than 1.
Sure.
5 heads are better than 2.
Yep.
And when you have good people in a room with good ideas, like, yes, let's take a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and we can make it so much better. Rather than, I'm sure some people get in there and say, no, I just want to do it this way. I just want to do it this way.
And some directors are talented enough to do that. I'm not that talented to do that. I know my strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Look, I think if you look at oh man, there's some director. What's his name? Tarantino.
Yeah.
Tarantino's a savant. He
Yeah.
is talented enough to be like, motherfuckers, we're doing it my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that talented. I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Like I said before, my talents rely on my team. I feel like my talents rely on taking good ideas, elaborating on that, or coming with a good idea, infiltrating other good ideas, and being able to stay on track with a good team.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I feel like I'm good at.
Yeah.
And going back to Robin, having someone like Robin come in, and being comfortable to do that with us, that was, like I said, it was just so amazing to work with him in that capacity.
That's
awesome.
That's really cool. And you're you struck a heart chord with Peter Berg because he just did American Prime Evil.
Oh, so good,
dude. Like my lovely girlfriend over here, she had to sit on her fucking phone and listen to me watch American Prime Evil. Like she had to go to bed to murder and fucking scalpings and shit.
I don't put my wife through that. I go, Kelsey, I'm gonna watch something right now you're not gonna like.
Yeah.
She goes, okay. She goes in the bedroom and watches Hallmark.
Yeah.
She deserves that. She deserves to like be happy and watch happy things.
Not me. You're gonna be in this with me.
I'm gonna watch motherfucking American Pie Evil, like some Peter Berg shit.
Yeah, it's incredible. So, what do you like about? What's your favorite Peter Berg movie?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. They're all different. I love his music.
Mm-hmm.
I love his composers.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way he uses the camera and the lens to film his subjects.
Yeah.
I love Lone Survivor. I love Friday Night Lights. I love Deepwater Horizon. Obviously American Prime Evil. Dude, fuck it. Like anything Peter Berg,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like it.
Look, dude,
anything he directs, I'm gonna like it.
Yeah.
If he's in charge of it and directs it, I'm gonna like it.
Dude, Friday Night Lights, I cry every single time I watch it at the Like, dude, when the boys lose and Tim McGraw comes and slides that fucking ring on his kid's finger,
I mean, but like,
it's just like,
it's that
I'm
emotion.
Like,
I love it too. Dude,
I can't fucking do it every fucking time.
I love that emotion. And I think, honestly, I think Friday Night Lights is where it starts. Like, anytime I want to get in, like, the mindset of that emotion or that feeling, I'll watch that music. Because, watch that music. I'll watch that movie because of the music.
But that music is fucking, really good.
It gets those emotions flowing. It gets me in that mindset. And then I can start writing, or then I can start creatively thinking about the stories I want to tell and how I want my characters to go through things. I mean, like, again, I'm not the type of director that will come up with the wheel. You know, like, I'm the type of director that will take the wheel and, I don't want to say enhance it, but will, like, put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, no pun intended. but I'm the type of director, I get inspired by other directors.
Yeah.
You know, Peter Berg inspires me.
Yeah.
The director from The Wrestler, Aaron, I don't know how to say it.
Aronofsky. Yeah.
He inspires me. A lot of directors will inspire me.
Yeah.
You know, and so that my composer, Carson, Ani, his music inspires me. My DPs, they inspire me. Like, it's just, you know, it's just me, you know, around other creatives. That's kind of what inspires me as a director. And I think, like, honing that in and then articulating that vision back to them, you know, with your own story and with your own subjects, that's the key.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Well,
I hope that makes sense.
it makes a lot of sense, you know, even to this moron right here, man.
Go.
Well, look, man, thank you so much for stopping by and talking to us and sharing with us. And thank you for what you've done.
Yeah.
Like the movies that you've made, the movie that you're trying to get made. I think it's only a matter of time, dude, before you
need us for any part of it.
Yeah, please.
I love it. I'll come back. Yeah, if something ever blows up, I'll come back.
Dude.
Fucking started here.
Hey, let's fucking go. So you are searching for funding. You are needing some funding. So how do people reach out to you? We got a lot of people that watch us.
Yeah, they can reach out to me. My Instagram is Pipeline Films. Or Andrew Shebay. My company is pipelinefilms.com. They can, you know, shoot me a message on there. Well, yeah, shoot y'all a message and then reach out to me. But yeah,
Yeah, if we get anybody that we will get them right over to you. But man, we would.
I mean, the main thing I like to do is tell stories about real people.
Well,
You know, and the experiences that shaped them.
Yeah.
Because I think everything reflects back on into our lives. So yeah.
well, we
think
want to
it's-
help you in any way
man. Thank
that
you.
we can do it to keep that flowing. So, what we've done to earn you sitting here on our seat is beyond me.
No, I love what y'all do. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's awesome.
But
keep the message alive. Keep talking about addiction. You know, it's so important.
Yeah, well,
So important.
well, we will. And
I'll try to keep making films about it.
look, you're gonna sign the wall here in a
love it.
minute. Mike, were you about to ask something?
I was gonna ask who your favorite actor was.
My favorite actor?
Yeah,
Oh, geez, man.
I've got 3.
Go.
Denzel Washington, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Keanu Reeves. I don't know how to say his last name. His Jaman Hushan. He was in Blood Diamond.
Oh, I love Blood Diamond.
So
One
he's
of my
also
favorite. Why did I not say Blood Diamond as my favorite movie?
he's also in
Yeah.
Avengers.
okay.
He's the he's always jacked up, but he's a black guy in Blood Diamond.
you know what? You know what movie I really like? And
He was actually homeless at one time.
Oh shit!
He's actually homeless. He was homeless in his 30s. I think he was in his 30s. And someone spotted him and got him to do a commercial. And then he started fucking doing movies. That's why he didn't come into movies until later in life. His name's Jaman Hushan.
Okay, is
Hushan.
those guys? That's inspiring.
Yeah.
You know who I really like in that movie? Adam Sandler and Don Cheadle in Rain on Me.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen Rain on Me?
Very good.
Fuck yeah.
So Adam Sandler and Spanglish, like I was just about to say,
Love Spanglish.
so like Sandler stands out to me as because of Uncut Gems.
Yeah, he's
Like
so versatile.
he can do whatever.
Oh, he's the.
Well, he showed in Spanglish that he can really,
I love Spanglish.
He can really
he can
do
really
it.
do
Tia
anything.
Leone in Spanglish too. Him and Tia.
And
Man, love Spanglish.
and look, Jim Carrey, dude.
Yeah.
Like you talk about a fucking just do it all guy who started out as a goofball. Like he was, hey, Ace Ventura, a pet detective, and then he starts doing the Truman Show and like all these other crazy roles. Man on the Moon. I'm like, dude, this guy can fucking act. Like,
the power of film, man.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. Me too.
Thank
Me too.
y'all.
I'm a dork in that, but I'm not a filmmaker. But also,
Well, you know what? If I get my brothers to keep it going, let's get y'all on set.
fuck yeah.
Let's do one of these things on set. That'd
Hell
be
yeah.
awesome.
No, dude,
100%.
Look, I
Yeah.
was just about to tell you, I kind of end the same way, but when you come sit in that chair, you're part of our family now.
Dude, thank you.
And you ever need us for fucking anything, we'll come running to help you out.
Thanks,
and
man.
the door's always open to you. You get something else going that you want to talk about and get out there, it's always going to be open to you.
I appreciate that, man. I love it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Two Addicts and a Moron. We're out of here, guys.